Welcome to our next session, which will talk about generating ideas, of course, a very important part in the paragraph writing. In our previous video, we covered how to approach a topic based on key verbs in the title. In this session, we will cover the next steps in the writing process, which is, of course, the brainstorming part. So, when you first read a topic and you're somewhat familiar with it, what you automatically do is that your brain starts to create relationships which are called associations between familiar key words in the term. And of course, combine this with your previous knowledge or experience with the concepts of those words. And a very simple example would be the phrase social media. Whenever you see or hear it, you may start thinking of things like Messenger, your friends, your pictures, but it may also lead to, let's say, more complex associations, such as the fact that you may be spending too much time on social media, or even you may remember that you have to Skype with your best friend who is in Thailand. In academic writing, the process of creating automatic thoughts and mental images about aspects of the topic is very important in order to be able to generate ideas and finally write your paragraph. But rather than happening in a random and unconscious manner, it is organized, controlled, and conscious. There are many different techniques to help you activate the previous knowledge of the topic, but in this lesson we are going to present three basic ones which can be used alone or in combination depending on the topic and of course depending on your personal learning styles and preferences. These techniques are free writing, brainstorming, and clustering. Now, let's look at them one by one, starting with free writing. So, free writing is a very simple listing technique, and we will start applying it in a listing topic. So, let's have the topic, what are some reasons for learning a foreign language? Simple, right? As you can probably guess here, although the verb list does not appear in the title, it is clear that the topic asks you to write a list of reasons based on your personal views and experiences. Although this is a very familiar topic and easy in a sense that you can come up with a few points without really having to do much research. A problem, however, you may face is the fact that although you know more or less what to write, you find it challenging to decide how to organize your ideas and how to select which points to include, because sometimes when we have more ideas about the topic, it can be harder to organize them. Every time, though, you are faced with a similar problem, it is extremely helpful to be able to actually see the content of your thoughts on paper, which means write them down. And here is where free writing comes very handy. It is a very good way to get you started with visualizing your ideas. It involves writing down words and phrases relevant to the topic without really being concerned with grammar, word order, or spelling. In this sense, a free writing sample about the topic could look something like that. There are no particular rules for free writing other than the fact that there are no rules. So, no two writing samples will look the same because each writer may have a completely different view, a completely different writing style. Some writers, for example, may choose to be more detailed, while some others may choose to just start by writing down disconnected words exactly as they come in their head. Free writing helps you build confidence with topics that you're familiar with, but also helps you discover gaps in your knowledge when dealing with unfamiliar topics. It is very helpful to be able to see your ideas on paper, reflect on them, and after you've done that, you can decide whether you need some research and whether you need to clarify certain points. In this example, the writer has already identified a few very interesting themes by free writing about the topic. The next step in generating ideas is called brainstorming, and it involves arranging some of the themes that you have identified by the free writing process into clearer and organized points. In this sense, a brainstorming draft could look something like that. Learning a language for professional development. This is the topic. Learning a language for studies, learning a language to use on the internet and various software, learning a language to be able to read books and publications for work, study and entertainment, and learning a language to communicate and connect to people from other countries. So these are some ideas that this student has brainstormed. And as you can see here, after randomly writing down ideas, the writer refines them and rephrases them to look a bit tidier. Note that in most cases, you will have to choose a limited amount of points to include in your essay. And that's usually because, of course, of word count limitations. The best time to do that is after the next technique we will present in this lesson, which is clustering. So let's move on. What is clustering? Clustering is another very useful brainstorming technique, and you will also see it in some books named mind mapping. It can be seen as the next step to brainstorming, as it involves generating specific ideas this time about the 2 points that you have previously brainstormed. As I mentioned earlier, clustering can be very useful in helping you decide what points to include in your paragraph based on the amount of information you can come up with during the process. There are many ways to organize your ideas with this technique, but the most common is writing down your points in connected bubbles, which would look something like this. What you put in the main bubble is you write one of the ideas you generated after brainstorming, and in the surrounding bubbles you can add ideas related to that one central idea. Let's look at an example. Let's, for example, take the idea of learning a language for professional development that we discussed before. And let's see how it can develop this idea into clusters. So you probably have noticed that next to each point in the bubbles, there is a question, okay? If you look at the bubbles. That is because in academic writing, it is always very important to be able to provide logical, evidence-based explanations to support your opinions. Remember that the main purpose of academic writing, besides of course proving your ability to write effectively in English, is to be able to present and support your views in a way that demonstrates the ability to think critically and creative. And also, it has to be clear enough for your reader to understand. So, one way to answer the questions written in the bubbles will be part of our next video session, where we will discuss how to research information for your paragraph. In summary, free writing, brainstorming, and cluttering, or as they call it, mind mapping, can be extremely useful techniques, as they can help you organize and visualize your ideas. This way, you can kind of better understand how your ideas relate to the topic, and also they can help you identify points you may need to research more before writing your final draft. They may look like a lot of work at first, but you can rest assured that if you get the hang of them, you can apply them on every kind of academic task, not only writing. What is more, these skills are flexible and transferable, and they can increase your general analytical skills, your problem-solving skills, and your decision-making abilities. And these are all qualities, of course, that you can apply in different tasks or situations in your academic, professional, but also personal life.